Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. A quick info before we begin. In today's video there are two stories and both of them have updates. Now let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Throwaway09012012. Me, 21 female with my boyfriend, 26 male of 3.5 years. He's deciding on whether to stay with me or leave me for someone else. How do I cope? Hi everyone, the title succinctly summarizes everything, but I'll give a bit more background. I'm a mechanical engineering student at a top university in Canada, and I was working at an internship in a different city than my boyfriend for 4 months. I tried to visit every 2 to 4 weeks, but tickets are expensive and I don't get any time off. So for the last month and a half, I did not visit my boyfriend at all. He couldn't visit me because he had final exams and was working part-time at Starbucks. This past weekend, he told me that he had been feeling meh about me for 2 months, which completely blindsided me. We rarely fight and we're so compatible with each other and we're always making each other laugh. His friends and family thought we would go all the way too. The thing is that while I was away, he started hanging out with one of his coworkers, and just before we had the conversation, he revealed to me that she stayed at his house late at night for the past 4 days. He never mentioned her before this, so naturally I was suspicious, but he insisted that there wasn't anyone else and that he just lost feelings for me. Well, after he thought more about it, he told me yesterday that on Sunday he and his coworker confessed their feelings to each other, but he still doesn't know whether or not he wants to be with her or with me. At least he hasn't physically cheated. Also, he insists that our relationship is great and that so am I, and that there's nothing wrong other than the long distance. I was already accepted into this program before I even met him, and I made it clear to him that there was a possibility that I wouldn't see him for 4 months at a time. Also, when I'm in study term, I spend the weekend with him every 1 to 2 weeks. I understand that it was harder for him than it was for me, but he always knew that this was going to be a long-distance relationship. Anyway, background aside, it's driving me crazy that he's making me wait while he decides between me and this other girl, who apparently he didn't develop feelings for until recently when I didn't visit, although they've known each other since December. It's also a huge hit to my ego because this other woman is 27, has done nothing with her pre-med bachelor's degree and is working at Starbucks while living with her parents. Yes, I know personality plays a factor, but my boyfriend was crazy about me and used to say that we fit so well together. Wow, OP, your boyfriend sounds like a major idiot, and you're not helping either by letting him have all this power. Why does he get to choose? No, you don't play this game. You don't wait until he chooses somebody. F that, when he started on his, oh, I have a problem because I need to decide between you and this other girl and she's been here for 4 nights, and I would have been like, what? Okay, I'll make it easy for you. We're done. Bye. Hang up, delete social media, block his number, no more contact. Because the truth is, OP, that somebody that loves you would never put you in this kind of position. This isn't love. So don't waste your time on somebody who, because you couldn't go visit for what, 2 weeks or something? I mean, out of a 4-month period, he just fell in love with somebody else, or I don't know, infatuated with somebody else because you couldn't visit? And on top of that, he has the gall, the audacity to actually tell you that he needs time to choose between the two of you. Yeah, he can go get bent while pounding sand. So yeah, OP, this kind of situation for me is a deal breaker. Don't put yourself in this position and don't give away this power. Just end it and move on. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Deleted says, dump that mother effer already. He isn't taking 2 different cars for a test drive. You are human beings and it's incredibly crappy of him to keep you on the hook while he makes up his mind about which of you is more worthy of his precious attention. Make that decision easy for him by dumping his ass and finding a partner who treats you like a priority rather than a fallback plan. /178 says, yeah, cut your losses and move on. Even if he chooses you, would you be happy with that? Oh, I'm glad you decided you liked me more than her after much deliberation. And if it's his coworker, he will continue to see her and hang out with her. And now that you know that they have a thing, can you ever be comfortable with that? Make this decision for him. Leave. F yeah, it's Thursday says, F that. You really want to sit on the sideline and wait for him to decide what he wants more at the moment? What about what you want? You are allowing this decision to be made unilaterally by him. Do you want the rest of your relationship to be the product of an exaggerated rock, paper, scissors match? This is effing crazy. Jiltro says, you don't cope, you dump him. Don't be with anyone who doesn't want to be with you, which this guy clearly does not. There will always be other people available to date. Mature people realize that and choose their partner every single day. And Hannah95352 says, hey, I also go to an engineering school in Canada where we go on internships for 4 months at a time. Honestly, we might even go to the same school. I met my boyfriend while we were both studying there, so I feel like we are sort of in parallel situations. I know that long distance is hard, especially when you have to do it sometimes for the majority of the year, but just because you are far away from someone doesn't mean that they are justified to replace you. My boyfriend has honestly been nothing but supportive of my internships for school. Yes, sometimes it is difficult to be away from each other, but we make it work. We don't run to other people for emotional fulfillment when the other person is not around. You deserve someone who is supportive, and you also deserve to not be someone's second choice. Stand up for yourself, girl. Don't just wait around for him to pick you over some other girl. If your relationship is as healthy as you think it is, there is no way this would even be happening. You are most likely better off without this guy. Go find someone who appreciates you and get rid of him. Let his other girl deal with him until he starts feeling meh about her too and moves on again. And OP responds, water, 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 wiki face. Thank you for your comment. It always helps to know that someone is in a similar situation to me. I'm happy that in your case things are working out and that you two are loyal. You're right. I am better off without him. Smiley face. Alright, well the community could not have been clearer in telling OP that she needs to get rid of this guy and move on. This is not a healthy relationship and it's not good for her. And in her last response, it apparently seems like OP agrees and she's going to do something about it. So it's now time to move on to the update to see what happened next and how the story ends. But of course before that, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now let's move on to that update. Hi everyone, thanks for all your support on my original post. I really love reading updates on here, so I'll post my own. The comments on the original post really hit home for me that my ex-boyfriend was not the right one for me if he had to choose between me and someone else. You guys had a lot of great quotes and it just hardened my resolve to leave him, so thank you. My best friends and even my one random classmate who found me crying in the bathroom echoed what was already said on here. It was easy for me to calm down once I made up my mind. So I kept myself busy with school, internships, friends, and family until I met my ex face to face. So on Saturday, I met with him and he told me his decision, which was to end things because of the long distance and already lost feelings. I kinda believe that he was insecure about us because I'm on a set path and I know what I want, while he started college at the age of 24. And he only decided to do it because I told him I didn't see a future with him if he did not have post-secondary education. He also somehow failed some courses without any extenuating circumstances, so all of his friends graduated without him. So I told him that at least he won't have the same insecurities with his Starbucks coworker because she's in the same position as him. Smiley face. He said his breaking up with me didn't necessarily mean that he was going to be with his coworker from Starbucks, because he realized that he still didn't actually know enough about her to know whether it would be a good idea to enter a relationship with her. I said I was planning to dump him either way, and I packed up my stuff from his place while we talked, and I burned all of the Polaroids of us in his fireplace. I think he was taken aback by this action. At least he made the breakup easy by agreeing with it and repeating all the things that I said, which were that he screwed up because he was stupid and weak and that he has to work on the long distance thing if he wants to follow his dream of joining the army. I also asked him if he had fully communicated with his coworker about everything between us, and he said that she only knows that we were going through a rough time and that we were meeting Saturday. I told him our relationship just failed because of the lack of communication, and you think it's a good idea to start your next one without full communication? Come to think of it, I didn't get a solid response out of him, but long-term planning was never his strength anyway, and it's his problem. His friends still love me and want to hang out, so that's a small victory that I hope will annoy him and the other woman. They all said that I was the best thing that ever happened to him, and they're sad that we broke up and hope that things go better for me. Thank goodness that I'm objectively in a better position in life than him, and according to him, there's nothing wrong with me, so it's easy for me to keep my chin up. I'm just dealing with the anger of what he did and that he may present the situation as a natural fading of feelings instead of emotional cheating. But I have no more sadness because the relationship and he are dead to me. My love is conditional on the fact that I am also loved. That is absolutely right, OP. The principle of reciprocity is incredibly important in a relationship. So yeah, I'm gonna call this a happy update, even though I can tell you're angry by some of the jabs that you wrote in your update. But the bigger picture is twofold. One, you're out of that relationship like we said, and you learned a great lesson. So here's wishing you the very best in the future, OP. Take care and thank you for sharing. Now let's move on to the next post that, like I said in the beginning, also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user ThrowAwayVeg8779. I, 30 male, hate my girlfriend's 27 female online persona, even though I love her. I love my girlfriend. We have been together for about 8 months and we have a great relationship, blah blah blah. But her online social media personality is just unbearable. If you Google list of most annoying social media habits, she pretty much has every single one. She is a rampant social media oversharer. Her Snapchat documents every remotely interesting thing that happens to her every day, from pictures of her breakfast to mirror selfies to funny stories about her day. At night, after being apart for 12 hours, she will begin to tell me about her day and I find myself repeatedly saying, yeah, I saw that on Snapchat or Facebook or Instagram already. Every even remotely interesting thing that happens to her, I find out about through social media. Her Facebook is full of rants detailing the ups and downs of her mood or humble brags about all the good deeds she has done, while her Instagram is all pictures of herself. She is the definition of a social media attention seeker. Between Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and her blog, she probably posts 20 times a day. My friends or family who meet her in person all say she is sweet, kind, and funny, but once they start following her social media accounts, they all say she seems kind of irritating and vain. In the beginning, I tried just to accept her online persona. If I only knew her from her online personality, I frankly wouldn't like her, but I know she isn't actually like that. I think she's just insecure and likes the attention because in person, she is actually a very sweet person. The other interesting thing is that she has not always been like this. At the beginning of our relationship, she had no Snapchat, no Instagram, and barely posted to Facebook. This all started rather suddenly 4 months into the relationship, and I don't know how to stop hating it. I don't know how to explain to her that her social media postings make her appear cocky, vain, rude, and selfish, and I don't think all of that meshes with her own impression of how she is. Additionally, I find that her constant social media life updates have taken away my feeling of significance in her life. I feel like any people who follow her accounts now know as much about her as I do. I've tried to bring up this subject with her recently, and I find her becoming very defensive about it. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to control her, which I think is how it sounds. She wants me just to accept this as a part of her. She says it's just social media, it's not that serious, and she doesn't know why I'm making such a big deal of it. And maybe she's right, but I don't know how to get over this. Well, OP, I think you're right. I think it is attention-seeking behavior, and it doesn't matter if it's in social media or in real life. Attention-seeking is attention-seeking, and it comes from a place of insecurity. Now, when you talk to her about it, do you do it in a judgy way, like saying, hey, you know, your posts make you look cocky, vain, or whatever? Because if that's your approach, then yeah, I could understand why she would get defensive and not want to talk about it and just dismiss it or say, yeah, you know, it's just social media, don't worry about it. So I would say that if you do want to address this with her, talk from your point of view. Say how it makes you feel about the relationship, not necessarily about her. So it's something that you guys can work on together. Now, there is one thing that you said, that this whole behavior started 4 months into the relationship. Could there have been a trigger for her to seek so much attention? She is definitely looking for validation. I would say she's after the likes and the comments to reassure herself about something. Maybe I would start looking at things that happened around that time to see if you can pinpoint something in particular that made her behavior to change like this. And what do you guys think about this whole situation, or what would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Hingle McCrinkleberry 1 says, my significant other was not at your girlfriend's level, but it was a colossal waste of time all the same. It bothered me more seeing it every day, so I deleted Instagram and Snapchat and limited use of Facebook. Then I started to see her actions change a little since I wasn't participating. She started to see the annoying attributes of her friends, to which I always made sure I gave my 2 cents like, yeah, why does Jay need to let the world know that right now? Or, I agree with you, who the F does Megan get to take that picture at the beach if she is alone sunbathing? It's not great to judge, but for the sake of the exercise, it worked. In my opinion, drastically changed the everyday routine and a change will come about. And OP responds, colossal waste of time is basically exactly how I feel about it all. And it makes it hard for me to sympathize with her when she starts talking about how busy or stressed or tired she is, because I can see she has Snapchat 20 times during the day instead of getting any work done. Bunch of Balls says 6 to 12 months into relationships is about when we start seeing significant others' flaws for what they are. Ideally, you find someone whose flaws don't bother you or mesh well with your peculiarities. If they bother you, you gotta figure out whether you can accept those things about them or whether it's crucial they change. Pick your battles very carefully. To me, your significant other's minor social media addiction seems like something not worth the tension. If I were you, I'd just follow the top advice and not follow her and maybe just check in occasionally. But everyone is different, so if how she chooses to present herself to the Twitter sphere is super important to you, bring it up, I guess. Just be prepared for her to be turned off by this sensitivity of yours. Libonaut says, does she have friends close by? She may be using the internet as a proxy for human interaction. And OP responds, that is definitely partially true. She moved here just over a year ago and does frequently complain that she doesn't have an established social circle like she used to have. That being said, she does still have a number of friends here. Additional information from OP's comments. I think I'm a little extra bitter because I feel like I actually have significantly cut back on one of my own hobbies that I know she dislikes, video games. She mentioned thinking they were silly or stupid early in the relationship, and I guess I have partially intentionally and partially subconsciously significantly cut back on my gaming. I thought I could just get over it, but it's been a few months of this now, and I still think about it all the time. Perhaps unfollowing all her accounts is the first step though. Luckily, the one irritating social media thing she doesn't do is talk about our relationship publicly. No sappy declarations of love or vague passive-aggressive BS when we are fighting. I think I would flip my crap if that happened. The whole thing is a huge turnoff. Before now, I never would have dreamed of being involved with someone like this, but it just sort of happened. In her defense though, she never said I was stupid for playing video games, nor did she tell me not to play them. That was a remark she made early in the relationship, and I just sort of reduced my gaming on my own. Now that I think about it, I really am totally bitter about this. Alright, well, the community gave OP different approaches as to what he can do, and apparently he's going to go with the I don't want to know anything about what she's doing, so the relationship is kind of better. So how about we move on to the update to see how that went? Here is the maybe not unexpected update. I decided to go with the ignorance is bliss approach. On Facebook, I hit her, and on Instagram, I unfollowed her. And since I only used Snapchat to follow her, I deleted the app and account. I wasn't really thinking about it. She noticed right away, like immediately. It was actually a little scary. About 2 hours after I did all of this, she tried to send me a Snapchat and she discovered I didn't have an account anymore. She was really confused at first and asked what was up. It gave me the opportunity to reiterate that reading her constant social media updates made me uncomfortable and unhappy. I explained that I tried to discuss it with her before, but she became really defensive, so this was the only way. She seemed to accept this for about a day, and I felt so much better, so much lighter. But the peace was short-lived, and she quickly became enraged. She was furious that I didn't discuss this with her before doing it, and in her eyes, I took a pretty drastic step without talking to her first. While I understand her point of view, I stand by my decision. I'm sure she would have been just as mad if I had actually given her all of my reasoning beforehand. Our fighting spiraled unexpectedly out of control. She was fixated on the idea that her social media persona wasn't that bad. It was part of her personality and she needed someone who loved all of her. She did not accept my actions as constructive criticism, but instead as a direct insult. Simply ignoring that part of her was an unacceptable compromise. I sent her an article that highlighted why her postings make her appear really self-absorbed, but her response was, "Is that really so bad?" She was too stubborn even to admit that being self-absorbed was a negative quality and instead delivered a long and pointless diatribe on why selfishness and vanity are positive qualities. We argued for a few hours and ultimately decided that we were not compatible. This was unexpectedly important to her and I was unable to just stop hating her social media persona. So we broke up. Thanks, Reddit. Smiley face. Well, OP, I would say this is a positive update for you because apparently you're happier and you're out of a relationship that wasn't making you happy. However, in my personal opinion, I don't think you handled it correctly. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would have made the focus of this whole thing the relationship and not her. Because if it's just her and you're sending her articles about how her personality sucks, then yeah, she's gonna take it as a personal attack and she's probably gonna dig her heels in, hence you breaking up with her. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. You're done and you're moving on. So here's wishing you all the best in the future, OP. Take care and thank you for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.